Hello. Oh no. And there we go. Hello. Now we're working. What's up? Call Dan. Hello. Wait, are you? You're not talking, right? Okay. It's like I don't hear anything. Oh wait. Ha ha ha.
Okay, man. It's enough of that.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's okay. What's up, man? Long time no see.
Yeah, yeah. We got de-COVIDified.
We had Devon free. Sorry, we had or it's free Devon free 2 weeks ago. We've got or it's free Gaby free this week.
To have a or it's free Dan free. You gotta take a week off, dude. Congrats.
Nope, not happening. Sorry, dude.
You earned it.
You earned it. Even if you guys
You earned
call me, even if you call me and I'm just asleep on the couch, I'll still be here.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah. But what's up, dude? Or it's free Thursday.
Yeah. Not much, dude. Not much is up. I played some games, so we got a lot of games. A lot of announcements happened. We'll talk about what games we played later, though. But
We picked two really shitty weeks to take time off because like a whole bunch of stuff came to fruition
yeah.
that affecting from like earlier in June, and it all happened this week or last week. So let's do an intro really quickly because it's just the two of us this week. Welcome to Or It's Free. Took live. Fortunately, had some
kind of internet issues here. It's getting all. Okay, now that you're not talking, it's perfectly smooth and fine. But now say stuff and see if it does it again.
Hello.
Okay, now you may intro.
Okay, cool. Yeah, Or It's Free. So we took last week off. We're back. We all got vaxxed, so we're nice and healthy now and protected. Hopefully, in 2 weeks' time, we'll be fully protected. So, I just had my shot, I guess, 3 hours ago now. So if I start to fall asleep in the middle of this, I apologize to everybody, including you, Devin.
Oh, actually, tomorrow morning, I'm sure you're gonna feel real nice.
Nice. Okay. Well, I'm just not gonna go to sleep then. I'm just gonna game all night. Play Biomutant and beat it tonight, and then issue solved. So yeah, welcome. It's Thursday. It's Or It's Free. It's me and Dev this week. Gaby is dealing with not a shot, but rather a shot to his television, which is very unfortunate. So he is yeah, it was very sad. He was very angry.
Oh, we're losing you again.
He plays that. Sorry. Better now?
Yeah, it could be. I don't know if it's me. Let me make sure my computer's not doing anything.
It might be distance to mic too, because I realize I'm a little bit further from my mic than usual.
Oh no, it's definitely an internet thing. It's like
copy.
It's yeah, it's a lag thing. I just don't know if it's me or you. I can't tell.
Sorry. Hopefully it's not me.
Okay. It's
all
not
right.
Me or
well,
it's free.
Yeah, so busy 2 weeks, but it's me and you this week. I'm gonna plug all the Slice stuff at the Slice TO. We're here on twitch.tv/Dr. Ice, with the one at the beginning of Ice, Dr. Slice, as I've nicknamed you in the context of the Slice.
Dr. Slice,
yeah, check us out. Dr. Slice. Dr. Slicey. Slicey and Icy. All right, I'm done. So yeah, so we're check us out social media. We do some fun stuff on there. We've got our Twitter going now again, which is actually more active than it's ever been, which is kind of nice. But yeah, check us out. We're here every Thursday, except last Thursday. You can check us out on all podcast services, and then we will have this uploaded to YouTube on Friday as well, Friday mornings. So expect all that great stuff. We got a lot to talk about, so we're probably going to jump right into news. Let's start with last week. Actually, you know what? Let's do the cheese first, buddy. What have we been playing? Because I'm curious what you've been up to the last 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do the cheese, man.
I guess I'll start with the silly one. That's actually like I'm kind of like impressed by it, which was Rocksmith Plus, dude. I got invited to the beta for it, and I played it today. I played like maybe 2 hours. Like I played for a little bit. And I've played like I have pretty like a lot of experience with the first Rocksmith and then the sequel, the 2014 one, and then they remastered that one. Like all three of them I've played like a lot, and they're all pretty much the same game. Like they're very like the UI is the same. Like the songs are like they kind of you could just transfer them over. Like everything is very similar, but it's just like a newer version of it. But this one is like very much overhauled. Like the gameplay is very much the same. Like in the same way that every like Guitar Hero has the track and the 3 or the 5 thingamajigs, you know, that is all the same. But the menus are different. Like the technology they're using is different this time. So there's 3 ways you can connect your guitar to it. If you have a microphone, you can obviously just like have an acoustic and just play into the microphone. If you have the cable from the original Rocksmiths, you can plug that into your computer and you can use that, which is the way I played. And then they have another way, which I'm going to try just because I'm straight up curious on how it works. But you download an app on your phone, and then you use your phone's microphone, and you play it that way. Same way with like an acoustic, or I think you can even play your electric into that too. And the game has all of the like song effects and things like that, and it'll just kind of apply it to the microphone sound. So I'm curious how that works. But anyways, one of the things I was like super impressed with, other than the UI enhancements, was the like the intelligence of the game, I guess. Like it's always been about like teaching you to get better at guitar. Like in like you start like playing a few notes and it'll kind of tell you like this song, like these are kind of the techniques you want to work on. In this game, they give you really good feedback at the end of a song. Like it'll tell you these are all of like this particular technique, like all the bends, these are all the hammer-ons, and like how many are in the song. So like maybe 78, and how many of them you hit. So you kind of know like which techniques you were weak on, specific chords, like all this really like intelligent, smart feedback to help you get better at playing guitar. And it's like super personalized to like each performance. And then it will kind of learn as you're playing. So when you start a new song, it'll kind of know like, okay, based on like the songs you played before, you're probably this good at it. So we'll kind of put you up to this difficulty. So it's like really smart. It's really cool. And the very last thing, excuse me, about it that I was really impressed with was the like the sound engine. Because the older games have typically been like pretty finicky to get them to like not have like latency and just like to make it like sound proper. They had like a lot of audio bugs where the like your guitar sound would get really quiet and like the music would drown you out, or vice versa, where you'd be really loud. But this one was like I plugged in the cable, I fired up the game, and like I just played right away. Like the tuning thing worked right away. Like I didn't have to do any setup at all. It just worked. I found like there was no latency. The like different guitar tones and stuff that they chose for each song like work really well. Like it was really solid. Like it was super impressive, which is why I ended up playing it for more than I thought. I was gonna just jump in and like play a song, so I was like, oh, whatever, it's Rocksmith, like, you know, I know what I'm getting into. But yeah, I was like actually intrigued and like was playing different songs. My only gripe right now is there's like it feels like there's 20 songs. Like there's more than 20, but I guess because everyone has got individual tastes, you know, there's a bunch of songs and I'm like, I don't want to play those. But there's the song selection is very weak right now, so hopefully in time that will start to get bigger and bigger. But they did have some like big names. It's not that they had like indie songs, but they were just like not a lot of them. Yeah, so Rocksmith is that was a big surprise. And then other than that, didn't get Mario Golf, so I haven't been playing that. I've been playing a little bit of Smash Bros because I wanted to check out the new characters. I did check out Kazuya. But yeah, other than that, what about you, man? What have you been playing?
There's quite a bit there. I'm excited you got into Rocksmith because after I thought that was going to be a big deal for you at E3, and then you just shit all over it and were like, can't believe this is what I'm fucking excited about, man. And then you got into it and you played it today, so fuck you. But I'm glad you're enjoying it.
That story, bro. Well, I think I did share that story near E3. But
on the E3 one, yeah, share it again. It's fine because I love that we can now in hindsight look at it and after you've played the actual beta.
It is kind of funny now that I end up like actually like enjoying it quite a bit. But I get a text from Dan. Like,
I knew you would.
And he's like, "Oh man, you're gonna be really excited. There's a trailer coming up, and like, I'm not gonna tell you, but you're gonna be excited." So like that's the only context I get. So like I'm thinking it's E3. Holy shit, there's so much I could possibly be excited about. So like honestly, my mind immediately was like Mega Man. There's a new Mega Man game coming. That's what I was expecting. And then the Rocksmith Plus trailer comes on, and I get a text, and he's like, "See, and I was like, "This is the fucking trailer you're talking about." And like, I enjoy Rocksmith, but it's not something I get particularly excited about. Mostly because they were like sports games in the past, where like they were just like, "Oh, it's a new version." So I just thought like, "Oh, it's gonna be like the Series X PS5 version of Rocksmith." But yeah, it actually ended up being pretty cool. Expectation management, you're right, Will. Also, actually, one other game I missed that I've been playing a little bit is Final Fantasy 14. I've been convinced once again to hop in and play the free trial, so I made a new account with my other email, and I've been playing that for a little bit. I'm up to like level 11, something like that. So yeah, I've been kind of tripping around in there. It's been pretty fun actually. That game visually I think is like one of the best looking MMOs. Yeah, combat's pretty like interesting. It kind of reminds me of Xenoblade Chronicles. That it's a little bit complex, not as complicated as Xenoblade, where you have to like stand in certain spots. But I like that they have the thing where like if you use one ability, another ability will become more powerful if you use it specifically after the one you just used, kind of thing. Like you kind of link them together in cool little combos. But yeah, sorry, so I forgot about that. But that's another one that I've been playing. That's kind of new for
I
me.
was curious about it because
Cross
everybody that
platform.
plays it. Yeah, I know. I still honestly, man, like the one MMO that I really want to dive into, and there was news shared about it last week was nice. Star Wars: The Old Republic. Like we've been trying to
Oh,
get on that for over a year now. I just don't have a machine that can run it. Um, but man, as soon as I get something that can run that, like I can't wait to jump on that with you because there's some new content coming. But I might give Final Fantasy 14 a shot. Like I really enjoyed playing 7 through again, and I played 11 way back on the in the PS2 days with like mouse and
mm,
keyboard support, which is crazy to think
yeah.
about now. But
There's a
yeah, no,
lot
I had a
of
blast.
game available for free, so I definitely highly recommend it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll check it out. I might check it out. Maybe I'll give it a download. Um, yeah, for me, I guess. Also, I realized I flipped the segment, so I apologize. This is
Yeah.
actually the sauce. The cheese is the news.
It happens. It's all good.
Yeah, it does. You can't flip the cheese in the sauce, though. It
Some
makes it really
places,
bad. Well, you could, I guess. Deep
no.
dish, maybe.
Oh, I don't know. I feel like you gotta have the sauce on the bottom, right? Like you gotta start with sauce.
Yeah,
Could flip
yeah. It's like a
uh
panzerotto. Maybe it's a
yeah,
panzerotto.
yeah. Okay, okay. Then you're gonna start with crust.
So that's where it makes my. Anyways, I don't like the sound of that. I like the sauce and the cheese more. Yeah, okay. Maybe we'll revisit it. The analogy doesn't work perfectly, but it's fine. We get the point.
Yeah.
Okay. So what have I been playing? I've been playing Chicory. I've been really enjoying Chicory a lot. I've been playing that co-op. And it's just a really fun game. It's like a Zelda style RPG. I think I talked about it maybe not when you were on last. It might have been or it's free Devon free. But that game is great. It's on PS5. Well, it's on PS4, but I downloaded it.
What's it called?
There's
Chicory?
Chicory, yeah, A Colorful Tale.
Oh yeah,
It's like a
yeah,
charming little indie RPG.
yeah.
Having lots of
Charming little
fun.
indie RPG.
Thank you. But it had co-op, so we're always looking to play co-op games. So we try to find something that's got couch co-op. So we just kind of scrolling through the store. I had heard about it a little bit on podcast earlier in the week. Checked it out on Metacritic. Seems like it was getting really, really good scores. So we gave it a shot for $30, and I'm probably about maybe 7 or 8 hours into it, and we've hit about the 50% mark. But lots of fun. It's kind of it does really remind me of like Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons. If I had to like draw a parallel to a Zelda game,
Yeah.
um, with elements of like some Pokemon in there and stuff like that. But basically, the concept of the game is that you get a brush, and it's inherited from another character that you meet in the game, Chicory. Um, and you're basically having to recolor the world. So one of the mechanics is that you just have to color stuff in to be able to like activate different puzzles. But you also get to be it's pretty open. Like you don't have to color very much if you don't want to, but you can. So we'll watch the trailer here. We got it going, but
I figure I'm playing
um,
stuff with Gaby not here.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it's a ton of fun, man. Like art
Oh, that's
style wise,
cute.
it just looks really unique. Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
really cool. Um, yeah, you can kind of see some of the creative painting that you can do. So there's some really cool tools in the game. Really simple. get to furnish your areas, you get to have a lot of fun playing as your character. So,
Hmm.
so yeah, I've been playing this quite a bit. And then
Interesting. Yeah.
on the single player side, I've been playing Biomutant, continuing to play that. It's been patched up quite a bit now, so
Oh.
that the has done a really good job of following up on. Am I cutting out again?
Yeah.
So weird. Good now?
Yeah. Yeah. You're good. You're good.
Cool. Um, so yeah, I mean, Biomutant, the community manager has been pretty involved with saying like we've taken this feedback and improved upon it, and they actioned it pretty quickly. So I'm really enjoying that game. I know it didn't review the best, and we kind of talked about it a little bit on the side dev about like just like reviews and just general. We had kind of a back and forth over it, but I really do think that Biomutant kind of got a bad rap. It's a lot of fun. It's an open world game. I think any of the stuff that I read in the reviews really can be applied to most open world games. I just think it hit Biomutant a little bit more harshly, given that it's an indie
Mhm.
dev with a smaller team. But the game itself has been a lot of fun, man. Like there's little things with it that I don't necessarily enjoy, but overall, I'm really having a blast with it. Um, and then just kind of my routine games. I've been obviously new inning of MLB came out.
What's up, Chuggins? Sorry, I didn't want to ignore
It's cool. It's cool.
him.
MLB, just playing that, and then a little bit of Mass Effect. I dove back into Mass Effect 1 and did some side quests in that since it's been a little while since I've played that. So
Oh yeah,
good
I
stuff.
told you I told you I beat it, right?
Yeah, you beat it. Did you enjoy it? How did you feel about it?
Yeah, I don't know if we ever talked about it, but yeah,
We didn't.
I did beat it. I felt pretty good, but I did feel like it just was like it just like ended all of a sudden. I thought it was ramping up, and I was like, okay, I feel like maybe I'm like 80% of the way to the game, but like that was like the end of it. So I was kind of like I'm ready to kind of start too, but yeah, I liked it. I had a good time. Made it all the way
I,
through.
I think what's unique about it, the way like I think its story can work self-contained to a certain degree, but it's one of those rare games that's the beginning of a trilogy where I think the whole trilogy was mapped out loosely from the first game, and so it was always going to feel like each game it kind of ended in the middle of the narrative. I do think that there's a little bit of a more
What's
pronounced break at the end of 2 going into 3.
what's SFS Rivals?
I don't know.
Trying to think of
SFS Rivals. Let's do a quick googly search here. I'm sure that the chat will probably tell us what it
I feel
is.
like I got a face palm when I see it. Wait.
Is it Need for Speed
Wait, I was
Rivals?
gonna say I think he means Need for Speed. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
It's funny because I typed in SFS and it SFS Rivals in Google and it immediately went NFS Rivals. So
Yeah, there's a big Steam sale going on right now, so it's a lot of things are super cheap. Um,
sweet.
actually, Horizon Zero Dawn's pretty cheap. I might get that for PC,
Play
$35
that
right now.
play that shit. I think it might get it.
Um, yeah, Mass Effect was good. I had a good time with it. I'm ready for two.
I wonder if with the current trend of director's cuts, whether Horizon's going to get a director's cut going into Forbidden West. So maybe pick it up if you haven't played it. But
Yeah,
um, they seem PlayStation kind of alluded. Herman did kind of allude to more director's cuts on the way, even after Ghost of Tsushima's announcement, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So there's a good possibility that we see another director's cut of the first party games that have come out. So
yeah, and I think I was reading that Japan studio like is kind of like left Sony like as a exclusive developer. So I think they were the ones that ported a lot of. I was reading they did like a lot of porting to PC already. So I think that's kind of where they're headed. Is like they're gonna just be the PC port machine for Sony.
yeah, it makes sense. I think that's kind of where they have the next was or Nexus or whatever it's called.
Atanino.
That studio that they picked up. We'll talk about it a little bit later because there's
Hmm.
some studio acquisitions as well. But yeah, possibly. But
Thoughts on
anyways, yeah, can't wait to
Subnautica.
play Mass. Have you played it?
Subnautica.
Mm-hmm.
Very little. I played a little bit of it in VR on the Oculus. Um, Pretty cool. But there's a new one that just came out, like zero hour, I think it's called. But honestly, yeah, I don't
Yeah,
have
it's
that much experience with it. Yeah.
below water. I think it's
Oh,
like I
below
remember the
zero.
trailer was
Yeah.
at the last. Yeah, that was it.
But
I think it was at
yeah,
the last state of play, if I'm not mistaken. That was one of the things that they led with the Ratchet and Clank state of play that was in there.
from what I remember about it, it was like you basically start on the surface of the water and you kind of like build things like air tubes and stuff to like go deeper and deeper. But I honestly didn't get that far in it, so I guess those are my thoughts on Subnautica.
All right, so we're up to date on I guess what we've been playing. We'll let Gabby talk about what he hasn't been playing next time he's on,
We played
because
Halo.
no TV.
Me and Gaby played Halo together, so I know he's been playing that.
I wonder when he will play again because now he doesn't have a television to play it.
We actually played when we played. We were playing. He's playing on his PC. The TV incident had already happened, and that's he was telling me about it
Oh,
while we played. Yeah.
there you go.
Yep.
Halo, exciting.
Yeah, yeah. We were actually talking about Infinite and how like stoked we are for it, and then it's like free to play. And I think this guy's head looks way too big for his body. What the fuck? um, I was saying that the Halo was never really popular during like the modern esports era. Like they had MLG, but the way esports are now, like they've never really had a presence. So if they can carve a space like for Halo in esports, like I think it's going to do really well.
Funny because the part that excites me about Halo is probably the opposite of what excites you guys for Halo. Halo started as like a campaign driven, like the first game is a campaign basically, right?
Yeah.
So for me, it's always about engaging campaigns with Halo, and they're 2 or 3 games removed, in my opinion, from having like a really, really strong campaign. So I'm excited to see what they do with Infinite, but I liked 4. I thought 5 was really weak. I think most people can agree on that. Didn't love 3, but then I mean, some of 2, Reach, and 1 were some of my favorite campaigns ever. So I'm really hoping that they're able to recapture some of that magic with
Yeah,
Infinite.
that's a good point. 'Cause, like, funny enough, actually, Chuggins, like when I was like a kid, I played Halo One's campaign because I actually had it on PC, but I never owned like any of the other Halos. After that, but my friend Chuggins there, he had an Xbox with Halo Two, and my other friend James, you know him, he also had an Xbox with Halo Two, and we basically spent like I don't know, it felt like 2 or 3 years of summers just like playing Halo 2 multiplayer just constantly. So yeah, I have like lots of experience with Halo 2. So usually when I play Master Chief Collection, I just turn all the maps off and just put Halo 2 maps on. So it's sick to go back.
That's my most experience, I think, with Halo 2 is the first year of 360. We may have talked about this a while ago, but the first year of 360, it was kind of slow after Oblivion had come out, and Dead Rising, I think, was kind of the next big game. But between March and August that year, like Halo was just the only thing that me and my buddy Luca were playing. So I have fond memories of Halo 2. I love that game very much. So I'm
Yeah.
excited for Infinite.
Call me Doritos? What the fuck? He's saying when he owned Halo 2. They did, but now that I play mouse and keyboard, I would whoop them.
Okay, so we've got some news to talk about. Let's start with last week, and I'm going to separate this up so that we can kind of figure out what we've got from last week to this week. So I think some Sony news last week, some confusion, some studio acquisitions. So the big thing, to nobody's surprise, is that Sony announced that they had bought Housemark after all the success of Returnal, and then also some previous games like Nex Machina, and some of the other arcade games that they've had on PlayStation. They've been very PlayStation driven for the last half decade or so. So they were purchased, but on that same day, Sony Japan accidentally tweeted out that they had also acquired Blue Point Studios, which has still not been confirmed. And I'm assuming probably won't be for some time, just given that they're probably going to try to create some distance between the two acquisitions so that they can celebrate them. But um, I'd be surprised if they didn't acquire Blue Point after there was a graphic already ready and the official account kind of put it out there. So that's probably sitting on a desktop somewhere just waiting to deploy. But they
That's
wanted to give Housemark their day.
a funny mistake. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, we've been talking about studio acquisitions for Microsoft this year, obviously Bethesda being the big one, but then Housemarque and Bluepoint, obviously not the same level as any of the Bethesda studios, even individually. But I think they make sense. Like those are kind of the studios that they've worked closely with Sony for some time. They did the Shadow of the Colossus remake, Demon Souls, and then yeah, Returnal successful just a few months ago when that came out. So any thoughts on that? I think it's just kind of it's news, but it's like, of course they did. You know what I mean? Like it's just a matter of time since it was just a matter of time until they actually finally pulled the trigger on it, and it seems like now is the kind of the time to do it. But any thoughts, any changes that you think are going to come from that acquisition?
No, I think Bluepoint's more just like a security thing for them. Like I mean, they've been doing really well, like their last few releases. So I'm sure Sony was like either gotta buy them or someone else will. Like, I mean, I'm sure like other like Microsoft even could have like swooped in there and snagged them, but like I'm sure that was just for them to be like, let's just make sure they're gonna stay at home with us. And then they could just keep doing what they're doing. Like, I don't think they're gonna change course too much. Like, they're just pumping out really nice remaster.
Yeah, I would like to see them. Hopefully, if they get picked up by Sony. Ben's studio kind of went through this with Days Gone, but I would really like to see them have an original IP because I think they've proven themselves through remakes that they can make some really great remakes and some really beautiful games. Demon Souls probably being one of the prettiest games I've ever played. I'd really
Yeah,
like to see Bluepoint if they do get acquired. Just like what's their original IP? Like what's an original idea that they have? I think that would be a really interesting um,
I would like to see them like
project.
either split their development team then, or like have some kind of like, and they got to build some kind of bench strength because I think there's like a skill that they have that seems to be like useful, to be able to like do a complete ground up remaster of a game from only like a few years ago and be able to do it like a reasonable time frame. Doesn't seem like too many people are able to like pull that off right now. So like even if they make something unique, it kind of like then you get like, I don't know. I'm thinking like maybe like a Killzone game or something like from like there's other games I think that kind of deserve that complete remake treatment. Shadow of the Colossus is really good. I mean, both of the games they chose already are yeah, like very good ones, and like they can't keep. I think that would be a big loss for Sony too.
The rumor is that they're working on that Metal Gear Solid remake, and then there was
Yeah,
some rumors I think this time last year that they might be working on a Jack and Daxter project as well. So obviously one of those I want to see more than the other, um,
yeah.
but yeah, either I mean either if they remake a game and it's a historical franchise, that'd be super exciting. But I would also like to see them kind of stretch their wings a little bit and maybe make something new. And hopefully Sony gives them the space to do that the way that they have with other devs, even with Ben Studio, getting their AAA original IP after Days Gone didn't do as well as they thought. So we'll see what happens. But two expected acquisitions. I don't think there's really any surprises there. But one of them isn't even official. So I say two, and there's actually there is two, but it's not Bluepoint and Housemarque. It was Housemarque and Nixus Studio, I think is what it's called, the technical studio that was picked up. Yeah, Nixus acquisition. So they're just a technical studio that supported Square Enix with some ports. I think they ported the Final Fantasy games over to either mobile or to different platforms, and then also supported um, on some of the Avengers stuff. Which I mean, I hope that they get better projects to work on than the Avengers project. But yeah, technical studio acquisitions are probably, to your point, just kind of some insurance to have a team to be able to kind of deploy and support other bigger projects, either on the network side or on the technical side. So not a surprising acquisition that they need some technical background, but at the same time, like I don't really think there's much fanfare to Nixus being picked up the same way that there was for Housemarque and potentially Bluepoint.
Hmm.
So yeah, that was news story one. Also, what Olympic game were we watching there for a second? Because I was watching Cuba just get pounded by fucking Canada in baseball.
There's Tokyo, like Sonic at the Tokyo 2022 Olympics or 2021 Olympics.
That looked a lot more realistic than I thought. I saw Sonic racing there, but then I also
It was
saw
like
like a
mascot
sumo
Sonic
wrestler.
too.
Yeah, there was like a sumo wrestler like taking a rugby ball like down the pitch. Like I didn't really, I don't know, man. Anyways, that looks. I'm gonna check that out after. I want to watch more about that game. All right, news story two. Control sequel. We kind of got some news on what's going to happen with Control. Have you beaten Control? I know you were playing that last time you were on the show.
Honestly, no. I haven't played it since I
Fuck.
started it.
Okay.
I do have to go back because a couple people at work have also been like, "Yo, how's that going?" And I'm like, "Yo, I didn't play it yet." So they're, I got to get back to it.
So it sounds like Rare is getting the opportunity, not Rare, sorry, Remedy is going to get the opportunity to work on a sequel, and they've also got a multiplayer Control project in the works. So this will be separate, um, announced, but really no details. But I really love that game. They never really got a chance to make Alan Wake 2, and obviously this game has ties to Alan Wake through DLC and also just spiritually. So if it means that there's a way that they can integrate more Alan Wake content, I'm down for that. And I also thought Control was just a great game. Lots of mystery, lots of world building in that game, so a lot to explore in a sequel. Even after playing fully through everything, I think there's a lot of questions that I'd like to one day go back to, maybe just read some codex and maybe even play the game through again. But yeah, we got a Control sequel on the way, so play it, beat it. It's really good. I think you'd really enjoy it, and it'd be a good discussion, I think, for this, if we talked about some of our theories and stuff behind Control.
Okay, okay. I'll play it. I'll play it.
Okay. So we've got that, and then we've also got there is a Mass Effect series rumor floating around, and ties into you beating Mass Effect, as well as for a Comic-Con. I think Netflix Geek is going to be a part of that in some capacity. So maybe we hear a little bit more about this in the near future. The rumor is that it's going to be an interactive series, so it will have branching storylines similar to that Black Mirror movie where you kind of choose your decisions and it kind of built the story differently. So in the same way that decisions impact the game, like you could have variant paths of narrative in the Mass Effect Netflix series. So that would be really fucking cool if they not only made Mass Effect but also kept one of the biggest features from that game into TV. But that's the rumor going around right now.
Hey Dan,
What's up?
remember in Alan Wake when you could use the flashlight?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Why?
I don't know. Chuggins was asking in the chat.
If you remember Alan Wake when you can use the flashlight?
Don't you like always use the flashlight in that game? It's just like it's just a regular flashlight, right?
I think so. Yeah, that was the whole mechanic. There was
Yeah,
like dark things chasing you, and you had to shine light at them.
there you go. Yeah, he's just making a joke that like, yeah, remember that game where you walk? Yeah, like that.
I mean, it's the same in the DLC of Control. You just kind of pick up lights with your telekinetic powers and fight stuff that way. So I don't know. I enjoyed it, man. Whatever. I thought it was good. I'd like to see it come back. Mass Effect series. Any thoughts on that?
I'm pretty excited. I don't know how I feel about the like choose your own adventure thing. Um, do we know like is it like being written by anyone related to BioWare? Or is it just its own separate thing?
It's a good question. I don't know if it's an adaptation, if it's going to cover the same like Commander Shepard times. Let me see if I can pull up
Yeah,
the rumor itself.
like it just I don't know. I feel like if unless it's like a really good passion project like the Witcher movie or something like or the Witcher series, like I don't think it's gonna come off very genuine. It's gonna come off cheesy. So hopefully the people behind it like really care about Mass Effect.
So I have some more details. It sounds like it will be an animated series,
Okay.
and it will be focused on telling the story alongside the original trilogy. So Commander Fetch, it won't follow Commander Shepard's story. It'll be other narratives going on at the same time as you're kind of taking down the Reaper threat as Commander Shepard.
Huh, okay. Okay.
If they adapt some of the surrounding literature of the universe, there's some books that were written by the same writer of Mass Effect 1, Drew Karpyshyn. He wrote, I think it's called Ascension, and then a couple of other books that focus on like Saren and Anderson's relationship that's kind of alluded to in the first game. There's some really, really
Sure,
good stories in there.
passionate
So
aliens.
choose your lay in Netflix series and animated. Um so if they could base it off of some of that, there was some really, really good books that told stories about like biotics and like kids that were like tested on for biotics early on in the early days of mass. Oh, I guess after they discovered the mass relay. Um, so yeah, it'd be interesting. I'd like to see them tackle that. But to your point, like I think it would have to be the right writing staff. I don't want to see like people that don't give a shit about Mass Effect writing
Yeah,
some weird story and then trying to make it like fit into the universe. I just don't. I don't know. They tried to do that with Andromeda and it didn't really work out.
yeah. It could be like a Star Wars trilogy new thing, you know, like just weird. What's up? What's up, Juggins? You got a question?
I saw Treggins ask if the Blue Jays are going to make the
Hmm.
postseason. Um, to be continued.
The only important thing is the Habs didn't win the Stanley Cup. Oh, biotics are
They did
like
not.
it's basically magic, but characters have these like cool little holographic glove things, lets them do like abilities and stuff. And Mass Effect.
They're basically like if you've played the Deus Ex games, how there's like augmented people. It's the same idea. And then the Omni tool, to your point, is like what helps. It doesn't really. It helps them channel it in some ways. Like they have to be biotically gifted. One of the books tackles kind of what biotics are at their root. The games really don't go into it as much.
Oh, I didn't know that. I wondered why some people didn't have those things.
You'll find out about it. There's a biotic um, a side character in the second one named Jack, and you learn a little bit more about what biotics are and like the journey of biotics and the experiments behind it. So
Gotcha.
to be continued.
Cyberpunk, yeah, same kind of idea. You got it.
Same idea. Yep. Okay. Mass Effect Netflix series rumor. Let's see if that comes to fruition. That was from June 25th, so hasn't been that far removed. But again, Comic Con is coming up soon, so hopefully we hear some more about it from Netflix Geek there. Speaking of Mass Effect, Casey Hudson announced a new studio, Humanoid. I'm really excited about this. Casey Hudson's been at BioWare for a long time, left, came back. We talked about it earlier on. I think before we started actually having a title for Or It's Free, we talked about what it meant for him to leave BioWare again earlier this year. Um, I had suspected that it meant that they had gotten the new Mass Effect game greenlit. That was kind of his role. And then he had left just kind of once the ship was righted, so to speak, at BioWare. Um, but he started his own new studio, and it sounds like it's really in kind of the early phases of being figured out. If you take a look at the job listings, like they're looking for a creative director, they're looking for like senior programmers and stuff like that. So it sounds like they're probably in the concept stage, at the very early concept stage of whatever that is that they're working on. But Casey Hudson, of course, behind Jade Empire, Mass Effect series, creative director behind Knights of the Old Republic. So he has a really, really great resume. Um, some of that has taken a hit since they joined EA, but I think I don't know. I can't speak for Casey myself, but I think that there's probably something liberating about now working as an independent studio and potentially being able to collaborate with some of the original talent that was at BioWare. I would not be surprised to see if guys like Drew Karpyshyn join and are a part of that studio in some writing capacity for whatever this new game might be. Also, would not be surprised to see if at some point in the near future that this is another one of those studios that PlayStation decides to partner with and potentially fund the project without having to buy out Humanoid. Um, I really don't care who does it, but I do hope that he gets a backing from some big triple publisher on a basis. They have a good relationship with Microsoft based off of KOTOR and Mass Effect and Jade Empire. So if Microsoft wanted to take a chance on that, I'd also be super stoked to see Casey kind of go back to his roots and work with Microsoft Studios the way that games at BioWare were published in the early 2000s. So we'll see what happens, but super exciting, man. Like this is something that more than a new IP at BioWare would get me excited about right now. To see him and potentially some old creative talent from BioWare working on something new away from EA. It's pretty exciting. So any thoughts? Anything that you've kind of read up on that? I know it was a very brief story. There wasn't really a lot to kind of to take away from it, but
Oh,
um,
it's definitely exciting. Like it's kind of like the Bioware version of the kind of the Blizzard guard leaving and starting their studio together.
yep.
Um, So yeah, it's kind of like the things that you used to love about your favorite companies. Like those people were there for the beginning, and it's exciting to see them starting something new without kind of the corporate overlords sort of controlling what they do. And I don't know how much control is offered in those situations when they like if they do like a Game Pass deal or some kind of deal with Sony. Like I don't know how much creative control they have to give up to do something like that. So I don't know, like maybe they wouldn't do that just to like make sure that they're able to do what they want to do, because that's what these newer studios seem to be about. Is like we don't want to be big studios anymore. Like we're okay being these small little guys as long as we get to control like every decision in our studio. But yeah, definitely exciting. Like it's I think it'll be cool to see the first thing that these guys pump out. Like that'll be an exciting game to see get announced and kind of shown off.
I think I mean I agree with you to a certain extent, but if I think about the studios that PlayStation's announced partnerships with this year, so Deviation, um, Jade Redmond Studio, Haven, like those are big names within the industry that also left their big corporate kind of overlord positions at things like Ubisoft, and have gone on to partner with PlayStation just as a publishing in a publishing capacity. Again, I'm using PlayStation as the example because they've done more of those partnerships rather than actually buying studios. But I could see that, like, versus at his disposal back from the BioWare days, also down to when he was at EA. I don't know if like Casey is his vision is not going to need something that has a big budget or need something that backs it in a pretty significant way. So I do think one of those partnerships might work well. Again, it depends on what this project is and how ambitious it is. But I could very well see him like going to a major publisher and saying, "Hey, if you like this, like we would love for you to get behind this." Kind of like what Kojima's been doing with Death Stranding at first, and now with Xbox with his whatever that rumored project is.
Yeah.
But that seems to be the way that I think a lot of bigger going, the funding to really execute on this idea. Those are the people that I'm going to ultimately want to work with. And I think that there's more support coming from the big publishers like Microsoft and Sony to do something like that if they just see that it's going to be valuable to their platform whether they own the studio or not. So we'll see. Obviously, it's very, very early, but just going off of what we know about the studios that have been formed by some of these big names, I don't think it's that far fetched to think that maybe once there's a vision and something is actually in place, that he doesn't maybe go to Sony or Microsoft and say, "Hey, I have something really, really great. I would love for you guys to. I would love your backing and your some of your resources to really make this shine the way that we know that it can." Um, and we'll see. I guess we'll see what that looks like in the future. Very early on though, but very exciting.
Yeah, and I guess even though like he's got kind of marketing potential, almost like Kojima's a good example there. Like to be able to say like, oh, Kojima's next game is going to be ours. Like maybe they have the kind of the clout now to be able to be like, we're making this game. You guys are going to buy it, and like they could be able to do that nowadays. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean Jade Redmond's name is synonymous with Assassin's Creed in a lot of ways, I guess, because of her time at Ubisoft and
Jade
at
Raymond, Jade Raymond,
Jade. What do I keep saying?
Jade Redmond, Jade
I'm sorry,
Redmond.
Jade Raymond. I keep thinking of the Sportsnet caster. But yeah, Jade Raymond is like kind of synonymous with Assassin's Creed, but then when the not deviation, sorry, when Haven Studios was announced, it was like, hey, this is Jade's new studio. And I think Casey has probably a little bit of a more renowned name because you can associate specific games and even eras with like his career so industry like vet and like legend, but maybe not one of those that is kind of vaguely attached to a game, but not really. Like Casey kind of lives somewhere in the middle where if you know Mass Effect, you know Kotor, and you know Jade Empire, you probably know the name Casey Hudson. I don't know if there's any like, are you gonna look at Assassin's Creed Brotherhood and think Jade Raymond was like she's the mastermind? I don't know. I don't see the same association to any individual product. Maybe that Star Wars game that ended up getting canceled, but like other than that, I can't really point to a specific project that she's been behind that like you really like are synonymous. Not to say that she doesn't have the talent and she hasn't driven big games like that, but it just doesn't go hand in hand, I think, the way that some of those other names do.
Yeah, yeah.
So we will see. Hopefully it's something great and hopefully to fruition. Best of luck to whatever that team's working on because it would be great to see Casey Hudson do something great again without EA being EA. Okay, cool. So there was that news, and then we also got a confirmation of the Ghost of Tsushima director's cut. Second director's cut that was announced from Sony. First one being Death Stranding, which we found out about at the kickoff for the Summer Games Fest, sorry. Which we found out a little bit more about today, so we'll talk about that later on. But yeah, Ghost of Tsushima director's cut, weird pricing model, a little bit of controversy in terms of the way that they have like a weird tiered upgrade system, and it's not kind of free. It's kind of strange, and I don't necessarily agree with it. But still, nonetheless, exciting. I love this game. I will happily pay for more content. I played the shit out of this game. I platinumed it. I even played the free content later on in Legends. So to go back and get a new island, get PS5 support, have it run at 4K with 60 frames, like I'm down for all of those things. Um, but yeah, any thoughts on Director's Cut? It seems like this is probably a new path for Sony first party. We talked about it earlier, but like adding new content, maybe adding a little bit of a premium price, and then packaging it for to take advantage of the PS5 hardware. But any thoughts? Does it excite you? Is this the version of the game that you would obviously play if you got a chance to try Ghost of Tsushima? Or are you okay with good old classic Ghost?
I mean, I guess either way. I like when companies do the thing that like fighting games kind of do, where like when the ultimate version comes out, you just can't really get the other one anymore. Like Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is like when you can't get Marvel vs. Capcom 3 anymore. Like it's like yeah. So I prefer like when it's the only available version is the best one. Um, I'm still not sure how I feel about this whole like upgrade thing because this is like the PS5 upgrade too as well, right? Or is it just like more content?
Yeah, it's shitty. Like I think no, it's both. So it's kind of shitty because it sounds like I mean I'm gonna pay it. Like I like this game enough to pay for the content, like I said. But
Yeah,
it does seem like it's like to incentivize buying the content, like we're also going to build in the PS5 features. I do really think that there should be like, if you own Ghost of Tsushima, you get the PS5 features as like a free upgrade, and then like pay for the story content if you want to. Whereas right now it's like you have to pay for the director's cut, and then you have
yeah,
to pay an additional fee if you want the director's cut PS5, even if you own the game already. And it's like it's going to be like 35 bucks Canadian or something like that. Like I saw it, like that's pretty sizable. Like that's more than some people have actually paid for the base game because it's gone on sale a few times. So I don't
yeah,
really agree with that part enough for me to be like I'm not going to buy it. No, because I really enjoyed the game. But at the same time, like it doesn't feel great. It's just kind of like, oh, you could have probably made this cheaper. You could have probably given this to people in a little bit of a different way. But they know that there's a huge audience for that game that's probably going to be willing to spend the 30 bucks. So why not charge them 30 bucks? It just kind of seems like that's the decision behind it. But
yeah. It's like a
I agree
weird,
with you.
weird middle ground between like DLC and like a soft, like an update. Like it's kind of both at the same time. Like, because you do get new stuff. So like, I mean, I'm okay paying for new content. Like, I think that's fair. But like, um, yeah, especially like me, obviously coming from the PC side of things, like to hear about people like having to pay for like the Series X or the PS5 version of a game they already own is like strange to me. Like it's I don't know. It's like they just added like it's like a software update for the game. You just like have to pay for it. It seems a little strange to me. Like that concept is never gonna feel okay. But if they're adding like new parts to the game, like people had to make those, and I mean, I guess you could argue that people had to like work to upgrade and update the game, but especially a game that like I mean, for exclusives, it's a little different because it doesn't exist on PC. But there are some games that like the game already exists on PC, and the enhancements they're getting on console like are they're already available. Like it just seems like there's not a lot of extra work that has to get put into it. Like maybe I'm wrong. I guess like yeah, maybe I don't know about the technical side, but it seems like not great to charge people for that. I feel like it should be like, hey, you own GTA 5, for instance, like when it gets updated for the new consoles to run at better frame rates and better like resolutions, which it can already do, like shouldn't have to pay for that. That should just be something that it gets updated for.
Yeah, and I think like this is where it gets kind of tricky because the visual, I agree with you completely. And Ghost of Tsushima will be on PC at some point in the near future.
Mm.
If rumors are to be believed, and even the removing of the branding of only on PlayStation is to be believed on the new edition of the game. Um, so yeah, like visual fidelity and stuff like that. Like you shouldn't have to pay for 60 frames in 4K. Like that should just be an update that you can do in the same way that,
Yeah.
Insomniac has been updating their games. Like we've seen 2 new performance modes added. You didn't have to pay $5 for the new ray traced 60 frames. You just got it in the next update.
Yeah, it's like you got the console to get those things. Like you shouldn't have to buy each individual game now too. Like
But this is where it gets kind of like I don't want to defend it because I don't agree with it, but I like from the perspective of like they're adding dual sense features, and that is something that like I imagine takes work to program a controller to be able to
yeah,
take advantage
yeah.
of like an arrow having like haptic feedback or like feeling different. Like for me, those
Yeah.
are huge features. Like it does immerse you in the game completely differently than a 60 frames or a 4K upgrade
And this
would.
game like this is Tsushima too, so the other exception here is it doesn't exist on PC, so like there's not a version already that does the things that they're gonna
Right.
upgrade, you know? Um or it looks like Jordan Romano. Jordan Romano. Doing
Jordan
good.
Romano is a pitcher for the Blue Jays.
Oh.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, this one's a bit of a strange one, I guess, because like the visual enhancements are something that they have to put extra work into because they don't exist already.
Yeah, and this is where the dual sense is going to get interesting. Like the dual sense is new technology. Like we don't really have anything kind of like this. Like it is. I can't think of a comparable where it's like this is a new way to play. Like it's immersed in a different way. And I don't know if you've had a chance to play with anything dual sense yet. Have you played a PS5? Like, have you played any game that
I
supports dual
have
sense?
not touched the controller yet.
Yeah, man. So like it is again, like I can't stress this enough because I don't want to be like an apologist. Like I do think the pricing upgrade is kind of ludicrous for what it is, and I think that people that own it should get the PS5 features as part of like a software update. But at the same time, like the DualSense is a deciding factor for me now in terms of like where I'm buying games. Like if I see that it supports haptics, like that is the best version of that game in my eyes in a lot of ways. Like there are games that have done great things with haptics and feedback that interest me on that alone because it's just a different way to play. It just feels inherently different. I don't know if there's ever been an equivalent of that because as much as like the Xbox Elite controller is the closest thing I got to, there was nothing that like there's no features to that control than features that just tailor it more to the individual. But like there wasn't like a different kind of rumble that really like changed the way that
Yeah.
you engaged with the game. So it's this really weird. I don't
I
know. It's a
think the
very
Switch is
weird
like
ground to be in.
the Switch kind of has like I'm not saying HD Rumble is anything close to it, but like that sometimes you have that decision of like, oh, I'm gonna get that on Switch because like I want to play that game portable. Like
Yeah,
it's kind of that. No, I don't own a PS5. Um, yeah,
but
that's
it's
the
blown up. But it's blown up more because it does feel, and I'm excited for you to try it because for me, like historically, I've always going play Xbox controllers more for shooters and I think just generally speaking, like I think that that's the better controller. I don't feel that way anymore. I feel like the DualSense has actually swayed me to
I
like I like
wonder
the size of
if
it. The features are just enough of a sizable difference that like I will play games on there and I want to experience Ghost of Tsushima with some of those features. Like drawing a bow and arrow in that game is going to feel completely different once it
oh
gets
yeah,
updated for.
we'll get there, Chuggins. We'll get there. um, yeah, I wonder if I think I heard recently that the like Steam specifically might be getting it, like the haptic support for the PS5 controller.
Yeah.
So I'll have to pick that up soon. But I wonder if like games like Horizon and stuff will get the support, or since it's already out and doesn't have it. Um, but yeah, I definitely am like all about that haptic technology. I've heard nothing but good things about it, so I'm really excited to give it a shot at some point.
There's some iOS games that if you do end up getting a DualSense, there are some iOS games
Oh
to
shit! Okay, cool.
for controller to it. So worth trying maybe on that platform. I think Fantasia even supports it if you end up trying that game. But yeah, man. Again, we'll kind of cut it here, but it seems like more director's cuts are going to be on the way. If this is the pricing structure that all of them
Oh
take
yeah,
on, it'll be interesting.
we heard about one
Um,
today. This the Death Stranding director's cut.
Yeah, and that's one
$10.
where
Not too
it,
bad,
that it
but
does, but that one doesn't have the same like upgrade path. I think that that Ghost of Tsushima specifically has, even though it's adding new story missions. I have to look into it. I don't know enough about it, but we will probably talk about this more as a God of War director's cut, as a Last of Us 2 director's cut, as a Horizon Zero Dawn director's cut. Like I imagine those are going to be the next three games that we see.
yeah.
Um, just because those are the games that have come out in the last 4 years and are all getting sequels at some point in the near future. So we will come back to this, but I'm excited. It's out August 20th. I can't wait to play the new island. There's a new island DLC. There's a bunch of new combat items. There's new skins. There's going to be a new game mode that they haven't even given details yet on. And I haven't even beaten the raid from Ghost of Tsushima Legends, which was the multiplayer expansion that came out. So I'm really excited to play this again, probably in August when it's a little bit, there's a little bit of a lull in terms of releases. So super
Mm.
pumped. Don't like having to pay $40, but I will be paying $40 because that game is fucking great. Um, okay, that's pretty much everything last week. You added a couple notes in here for I know that there's a Silent Hill rumor floating around, which actually got disproven. I just saw an article
Oh, there
as
you
I
go.
saw that.
Okay.
Um, But then Kazuya got released for Smash, so you talked about that a little bit, and then there's one more fighter left in Smash. So do you want to talk about what it's like with playing with Kazuya? I know you mentioned it a little bit at the beginning, but
Yeah.
where are we at with Smash? What's next, man?
Yeah, so I kind of hopped in and played a little bit because I wanted to not only check out Kazuya, but also go back and check out. Like, I had hopped in and checked out, like, Pyra and Mithra and Steve and, like, Sephiroth and those other ones. So I wanted to go back and, like, give them more time, too. Um, but yeah, honestly, I'm a pretty big Tekken fan. I think I've been playing, I'd say, like decently, like since maybe I want to say Tekken 6 is probably the one I like started on. So honestly, there's only 7 Tekkens. So I've played older Tekkens, but Tekken 6 is when I like played it a lot. And then Tekken Tag 1, Tekken Tag 2, and Tekken 7 I have like a lot of experience with. So really cool to like see that game represented in Smash Bros. A ton of songs. The stage is really cool. Kazuya is like really complex for a Smash Bros. Character. They really like went above and beyond, like trying to, I guess, replicate the complicated moveset of a Tekken character. There are things like he has a move that specifically acts differently when you use a punch when he's so if you duck, if you're holding duck when you press punch, he does a punch. If you stand up and you punch, he does a punch. And if you actually let go of, if you're ducking and you let go of duck and you punch as he's rising, there's another punch you can do. Um, Tekken 7? Tekken 7's amazing.
I'm
Oh,
talking about
gotcha.
Death Stranding.
Death Stranding, yeah, yeah. But yeah, the level was really cool. Like, I don't know, they always show like really good love to each like series, you know, when they put it in Smash Bros. Um, so he's like feels honestly like really powerful right now. So as they usually do. So I'm sure he's gonna get tweaked a lot to make him like more in line with the other characters. But yeah, it's pretty interesting to see. Like you got Street Fighter in there now, you got Tekken in there, you got Final Fight. Like a lot of the kind of the big fighting game are represented among all the different Nintendo and Sega franchises and stuff. So pretty cool. I was pretty stoked on it. Had a good time going back and like just playing Smash for a little bit, and then kind of getting my Switch some use because I've been using it a little late lately. It's been getting dusty.
When they announced, speaking of Dusty Switches, I'm kidding. We'll talk about it soon. Um, did we think Kazuya was going to be the last fighter, or we weren't
No,
sure at the time when it got announced because we didn't know, or did
we
we?
no we knew that there was two left in the pack, but what we didn't know was if there was going to be another pack after. Um,
Right.
they kind of hadn't really said like, is there going to be a third fighter pack? But this time they were like, no, there's no more. They were pretty
Yeah.
definitive about there's one more fighter and then we're done.
Cool.
And
Okay. Do you
it's
think
got
we
to be a
find
big
out?
one.
Do you think we find out what that fighter is by the end of the year?
Yeah, they said that as well. We will find out this year who
Okay.
it is. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. I think
No,
that seems like a video game awards announcement
yeah,
or like
exactly.
something.
I was just
Yeah.
thinking that.
Okay.
Yeah, Game Awards this
Okay.
year for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Do you want to talk about very briefly? We don't have to go into detail, but the indie Sony relationship that kind of blew up last week. We could maybe take a few minutes to talk about it. I
Oh
read up
yeah,
on it a
yeah,
little bit more, but
yeah,
I know you had some thoughts. So, do you want to talk a little bit about what the story is, and then we can kind of, go back and forth about what we think?
yeah. So I kind of actually like I read about this a little bit earlier, and it was sort of like strange, I guess, how it all came about. But there was basically a developer who started tweeting, like he just went on a Twitter rant, and he didn't name Sony directly. He called them Company X for the entire rant. But other people figured out pretty quickly because I think he someone asked if it was who it was, I guess, and he said they're something about them not being involved with Game Pass.
His original tweet actually said it's Platform X, but
Oh,
Platform X does not have Game Pass. That was like the full tweet.
gotcha. So he kind of gave
Yeah.
away right away who it was. Like it was either Nintendo or Sony, and people kind of figured out pretty quickly which one it was.
It's
Um,
also really funny that that's the identity of Sony is like the ones without Game Pass.
yeah, right. There's no Game Pass. Oh, it must be Sony.
Gabby
Um,
was cheering somewhere. He was like, "Yeah!"
so the guy basically went on a rant about how difficult it is to get exposure as an indie on PlayStation. Um, and there was a lot of kind of like pretty heavy accusations thrown, which I'm honestly not sure. Like they seem a little bit more like assumptions than like factual information. So the example they used was like having to kind of like be in Sony's favor to be able to like be featured on the Sony store, like the PlayStation store. And if they don't like your game, then they're just not going to back you at all. Or if they don't like you, they're not going to back you at all. Um, and I mean, that kind of like attitude personally is like, maybe there are things about the game that you could look at that maybe need improving. Like I'm sure the game is not perfect that you have, and like they're not obligated to feature every indie game on the store. Like it's if I have a store that sells like I don't know fucking tires, like I obviously want people to buy the best tires at my store. So if someone comes in, they're like, yo, I have these like tires made of spaghetti. I'm gonna be like, don't sell that shit in my store. Like, and it's not like I'm not obligated to sell spaghetti
You're not
tires.
obligated.
Like yeah, like
Yeah.
it's my store. So the accusation was a little strange to me that like like don't maybe just make make it for Nintendo or make it for Microsoft. Then if you're not getting the love you want with Sony, then just go somewhere else. Like there's other options. So it felt like that developer felt like it was like either we publish on Sony or like we don't publish anywhere. But they also there was other parts of that story coming out, like the like Housemarque apparently was involved some way. They showed like a documentary or something was being made about the creation of Returnal. And there was like a scene in it where they were kind of having a meeting about showing the game to Sony, and like basically like it seemed to kind of be backing up what this guy was saying, that like they needed to be in Sony's favor to kind of have them market the game and push the game. But yeah, I think in general it seemed like one person's rant with like a bunch of salty people kind of piling on, and I don't know. Like I would like to see like someone like Jason Schreier or someone to kind of jump in and get a dig in there and like kind of have his take on it instead of like someone's Twitter rant, and kind of have that. Like I feel like the story is not is we only got one side of it right now.
Yeah, I mean, part of the reason that I think it would get like, I don't know, would piss off indie developers is the fact that like Sony seems to also like really boast about its relationship with indie developers in some ways, or like it's had a reputation for. It's kind of weird because I feel like they don't have necessarily the best reputation around it, but then also like they're getting behind games or studios like Housemarque, but then that just also kind of corroborates things because it's like it almost seems like Sony groomed Housemarque to be the indie that they use as like we do support
Oh.
indies, like look at Housemarque, and then
Yeah.
they went and bought them. Um,
Like look
and
at
I do tend,
The Switch eShop is the flip side of like just fucking let them all on there. Like
yeah,
there's so
just let
much
everything
bullshit
on
on there.
there. Yeah, like it's there's a bunch of crap. It honestly like I I could see it because if I just think about my personal lens, I don't think of my PlayStation as an indie machine in the same way that I think of my Nintendo as an indie machine, or my Xbox as like a place where I will probably buy indies or at least try them because they're on Game Pass or they're released there before else other places. I think about games like Below probably being the best example of one where like I couldn't wait for that game for so long and it came to Xbox and hasn't or it took quite some time to go to a different platform. Um, but I also think like they don't necessarily. It's just not part of their platform, and this kind of goes to that Jason Schreier story. Is like they're obsessed with like big games. Like Sony is always going to be about the blockbuster. They are the big studio that wants to pump out summer blockbusters and make $1 billion. Like they're the Marvel, they're the Disney of consoles, where it's like we go big, and yes, we support smaller projects from time to time, but like
But even
most
they're
of
big.
the time we're going big.
An indie for like yeah, Returnal was like it's like a triple A indie. Like
Yeah, like it's not really an indie. Like it has an indie identity because of who made it and just because of some of the systems that are in it, but like it is a third party game. It was pushed as a third party game. It belongs in the same conversation as the Ratchet and Clank game and Miles Morales. Like it's right in that same area, right? It was given its own. It didn't come out on the same day as another game. Like it was given its own month to come out, to give it time between that and Rift Apart, right? Indie games don't do that. They release whenever they're ready or whenever it makes the most sense to release them, right? So I don't know if that's the case and Sony isn't doing its best work to try to support indies on its own platform, on the biggest platform, that really does suck. And hopefully they improve that relationship. But in the same token, like I think you brought up some really valid points around like if it's not the best platform for you, like you're not obligated to go there. But then at the same time, if you want to reach the most players, like that is the platform that you want to publish on because it does reach the most players. It has the biggest install base and it's the most popular of the three, at least from a hardware standpoint right now. You know what I mean?
mhm.
With well, obviously the Switch closely catching up, but like the Switch is synonymous with indies because of a multitude of different reasons. And I think it's the same thing with Xbox, is they've relied on
Yeah.
third party developers more. They haven't had the first party support that Sony has been able to push with their developers.
And I guess with Switch you also have like the hardware limitations where like, maybe you physically can't put your game on Switch. Like
I mean, I think of indie games and like my default is like I want to play that on my Switch. Like it's something I want to be able to play in bed before I go to sleep. When I saw
yeah.
Hades go there, I was like, man, this is like perfectly tailored for that. Like there's just games that make sense on that platform, and a lot of them are indie games because they
Yeah.
don't need
Yeah.
those technical. You don't need to play them in 4K 60 frames to get the best experience. They're just fun no matter how you play them, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like you said about the dual sense. Like you see the game and you're like, oh, that's gonna feel nice, and you're just like you can just kind of you can tell.
Yeah. So we'll see how that develops. I'm sure this won't be the last that we hear about it. But I really do hope that they do support them more because it is a pretty shitty feeling, and it almost reminds me of some of the other big tech companies and like the app store space too,
Mm.
that have like I don't want to say monopoly, but have been criticized for the way that they like publish content into developers and stuff like that, or from
Yeah,
developers in
visibility
general.
is
So it's
never really
interesting that
great.
there's parallels there. Yeah, yeah, but it's tough. There's so much stuff out there, and there's so many developers now. Like, how do you choose what to publish? Like, it has to be you want the best stuff to be on the forefront at the forefront. And to your point, like maybe some of those games just aren't very good. Like, they just don't warrant the same
Yeah,
space as some of the bigger games. Like,
like yeah,
I
I know
saw.
you may love your game, but it's like maybe they don't love it. So I'm sorry.
Yeah, like I mean, Biomune's a good example. It's an indie. Technically, it's not an indie game. It's published by THQ, but it's a first time developer. I really enjoy that game. I don't expect it to have the same storefront space as Rift Apart or another game that's been like critically acclaimed, that is like a console defying game right now. I'm happy that it exists in any capacity, that it's kind of got its own little carved out space. But I think it's unrealistic to expect that every game is going to get that, because at the end of the day, there's just games that attract a bigger audience and are just better than others. Like they're just technically better games than others, right? I
I mean,
saw
in
Chicory
marketing,
on the
there's only so much marketing budgets they can give out. Like if somebody's up there, somebody else has to not be up there, and it's just
yeah.
how it has
You
to
can't
be.
have every can't every and there's no participation awards when it comes to charts, right? Like it's
Yeah.
it's and Chicory is a good example of a game that did get really good
Speaking
acclaim
of
and was on.
speaking of participation awards, you want to move on to this Nintendo announcement we got?
Is that our transition? It's a participation award.
Yeah. So we're gonna give
Let's
them.
talk. We've got three stories this week that we'll tackle. So that pretty much rounds up last week. We've got
Cool.
three, and we'll try to get through them because we've been recording for a while now
Yeah,
already.
it's like an hour and 20 minutes. Jeebus.
Man, that's what happens when we don't have a fucking episode last week. Dude, we gotta
Yeah,
squeeze
you're right.
everything
Yeah, you're
Fun.
right.
We're missing so much shit too. There's games I want to talk about.
Well, we can get through this
Switch.
next thing pretty quick.
It's not Switch Pro. It's Switch OLED, which is
Switch OLED
fucking
model
bullshit.
brackets.
So, I mean, I have a theory that this isn't the Switch Pro, that this is just going to replace the base model Switch just in terms of price, I think eventually by next year. And it seems like Jason Schreier and some other, I think Jeff Grubb actually said like there's probably a good chance that we see another upgrade at some point in the near future. But this was underwhelming, man. Switch Pro got announced. It was just an announcement at 9 o'clock in the morning. I think it was on Tuesday morning or something like that.
Yeah.
What do you feel about this? Are you buying it? I'm refreshing the Best Buy page.
I'm with you that it's I don't think it's Switch Pro anymore. I think it's Switch 2. I think the rumors that people thought this one was going to have, like the DLSS, the new CPU, like any of that stuff, like I think it's going to be for the next version of the Switch. Honestly, like I'm pretty underwhelmed. It really feels like the only difference is the screen. I know there's a couple things they called out, like the stand. I guess the speakers are different, and the wired LAN port. But like this made me laugh in the commercial, the stand, when they like showed the camera all like twist sideways, and I'm like, the fucking stand, like it's a piece of plastic. It's a little plastic flap, and you're gonna call it on the commercial like it's a big feature
More
thing?
angles.
Yeah, like what the hell? The fact that it's like, I don't know, it's an OLED screen that's like a little bit bigger, that like thing that you play 50% of the time on your TV, like, so it just doesn't seem like the investment's going to be worth it. So I don't know. I feel like I'm just going to wait for the next Switch. That's going to be, I mean, I heard people make good points that they're probably going to have like an actual horsepower upgrade for next year for Breath of the Wild, and maybe the next Mario game that might need a little bit extra beef to run. But DLSS is that stuff's magic, and they're gonna basically become on par with like some of the newer consoles like the Series S and the PS5 without much extra like horsepower in the actual unit itself. So I think that's coming eventually. But yeah, overall this was pretty fucking stupid, I gotta say.
If it eventually replaces the price point of the original Switch, I think that that's fine, and I do think that that's the path that it's going to go. Most
Yeah.
commentary is like, this is a Nintendo move. Like, why did you expect anything different?
100%.
This is exactly what they do. I will say, for me personally, I don't want to upgrade, but I play my Switch 97% in handheld mode. So for me, I was like, oh shit, like a mobile OLED display, like that's what the Vita had 9 years ago.
Yeah.
But it's is it enough to warrant the upgrade? If it doesn't cost very much, like sure, if
Yeah.
there's
If
like an
there's a
upgrade,
trade-in deal, I'll do it. But
yeah, 100%. But for me, it actually is like I
but
do play handheld a lot, so
the other thing I was thinking too, though, is there not like a bit of a weird, like switching your save data and stuff is not the easiest thing to do on the Switch, especially if you don't have them both in front of you. Like it's difficult to do that from what I recall. Like you can't just save everything on the card. So even getting a new Switch is like maybe a bit of a hassle.
well, I've gone through the process before because I got the
Okay.
upgraded battery switch. It wasn't
Okay.
that bad.
Okay.
Ultimately,
Cool.
what I ended up
That's
do,
good. That's good.
what I ended up doing, I think, was I think I kept my Switch and then like went back to EB and like rebought it with the trade-in kind of thing, like a couple days later. Um, but I think they recommended it. Like they were just like, take it home, like make sure your shit gets transferred over, and then just come back and we'll just do it that way to make it a little bit easier on
I've
you.
done that with a 3DS before too.
Um,
They let me take them both
yeah,
home.
yeah. So, and I know like I typically go to the same EB, so I'm pretty familiar with the folks there. So I'm hoping that that ends up being the case, but we will see. I'm not 100% on it yet, but again, I do play it in handheld mode primarily. I wouldn't mind having an OLED display if it's for a nominal upgrade. If it's for a nominal price, I wouldn't mind doing the upgrade. But I was really hoping for something a little bit more performance wise.
Yeah, same day as Metroid 2.
Metroid.
Same day it comes out. But yeah, the other thing I was really hoping for was new Joy-Con. At the very least, joysticks. Like I can't believe they just were like, they're white, but the same ones. Like yeah.
Yeah. That's why I just don't see it being like I can't see this not being the base Switch at some point.
Yeah, I agree that this other model I think is going away.
Yeah. I think eventually it'll be phased out. I would be surprised if that's not by next year when Breath of the Wild 2 comes out. I was watching something today, which was just like a technical video of I think it's YS9 running on the Switch, and it was just fucking chugging, man. It was like
Oh yeah.
maybe 12 frames. Like it looked so bad, and I'm like, there's no way Nintendo can roll with this for another 3 years when they've got a flagship title coming out next year that's gonna sell fucking 50 million copies first day if they can. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like it's ridiculous.
That's what that DLSS, man. If they can pull that off, it's gonna basically jump them like a whole bunch of years ahead in hardware. Like it's gonna save them a lot.
Yeah,
Things are gonna look a lot better without much.
effort.
Good.
Cool. Okay. That's coming out October 8th, same day as Metroid Dread. We'll see. We'll obviously have more thoughts on it as it gets closer. And if we
Yeah.
have if we get one in hand, then obviously we'll give a more in-depth review. But the jury's still out on whether that's going to happen or not. I am refreshing the Best Buy page to see if I can just get my hands on one and then decide when I actually see it. But I'm sure it's going to sell like hotcakes because it's a fucking Switch and it's Nintendo. So as much as we criticize it here, it's going to be out, and all of a sudden we're all going to want it one day. So. Um, Okay, so that was news story 1 this week. News story 2 this week was Assassin's Creed. So not long ago, Ubisoft talked about its pivoting from doing its AAA releases on a yearly basis. We then saw some Assassin's Creed Valhalla updates coming to Valhalla at some point this year and also next year. We also found out we're not going to get another Assassin's Creed game this year. And then today they announced Assassin's Creed Infinity, which is like an ongoing game as a service Assassin's Creed that's going to allow you to kind of drop into different eras. So it seems like this is the big first announcement since Ubisoft has announced their pivot to this live service model. I don't know how I feel about it. Um, I don't know how you feel about it. It feels a little bit weird, but it also feels like Ubisoft is this is where they're going to go. Like we knew it. They announced that this is where they were going to go. It just seems a little strange that like Assassin's Creed. I don't know, man. It just doesn't seem like a game that's going to lend itself well to that. But I have no idea. You are losing your mind
Sorry.
sneezing. Are
Sorry.
you okay?
Yeah. I'm good. I'm good.
All right,
A
man.
little sneezy. I think it's pretty cool. I actually didn't know about this announcement. I was just kind of reading as you were talking to try to catch up, but that's actually pretty cool. I kind of like it. I was actually thinking today, funny enough, when I was playing Rocksmith Plus, the whole thing that Ubisoft's been doing a little bit with this kind of like pseudo educational gaming with the like I know the last couple Assassin's Creeds have done it with the like historical settings they've been using, that you could like kind of like learn stuff as you're playing. They like I think they have like museums and stuff where you kind of like fly through the game and they'll kind of take you to landmarks and talk about them. So I kind of like that whole idea of like them being like entertainment but also educational. So to do something like this where they can kind of take you like to different places instead of just being like here's the new Assassin's Creed in this area and the new Assassin's Creed in this area, like it's kind of like redundant to just like you know they're coming, so like I think it makes sense to put it in this format where it's like, hey, there's the like, here's the Greece like map, like oh, here's the ancient Japan map. Like they can just kind of have these big chunky updates that will kind of take you to different places. And like the last couple games I think have been like fucking huge, like 100+ hour games, like really big. So maybe they can kind of just like take the quality and like up it a lot, but like maybe shrink each area a little bit. So like they don't need to be like 100-hour experiences. Like they just need to make these cool little sandboxes. I think it's an interesting idea. It'll be cool to see how they support it. And like, I feel like it's going to be one of those things that starts out and people are going to expect the content levels of the last few Assassin's Creed games, but I don't think these service games are like that. Like they're going to start out and it's going to feel pretty naked. But I think in general, like over time, I think that's a cool concept. I'm into that.
Yeah, it's not like I sound negative on it, and I think it's just because very few games that have come out in the live service model have succeeded. Destiny being one, Fortnite being another, GTA 5 is another one. But these are all really like huge, like established. I mean, Assassin's Creed is established too, so eh, there's just something
Yeah,
about it
live
that's
service
like,
like there's a
man,
lot, dude. Like Warzone's doing really well.
yeah.
Like even Rocksmith has a friggin' battle pass in it now. Like there's They're
I mean, the
making them all.
constant that a lot of these games that like keep their like core mechanics pretty close to, from season to season or whatever, from year to year. Like the Assassin's Creed games have always felt like the era is different. Like the way that you maneuver in different games feels quite different. So like, is it going to be like a different game that's released, or are they going to have a similar mechanic that runs underlying every single new map that you get? Like I don't know. Like I need to see it in practice. I agree with you. I think the concept is kind of cool. Like I don't want to pay for an Assassin's Creed game every single year. Like that's, I haven't even played Origins all the way through or Odyssey, let alone started Valhalla. And I've missed a whole bunch of other games in between, but like I don't know, man. Anytime anybody leads with a game as a service now, it feels hard to get into unless like they've the publisher has had a successful one previously and the franchise is compelling enough in the moment that it seems like the right decision. I can't say I feel that way about Assassin's Creed right now. I think they hit it out of the park with the last three Assassin's Creed as not game with the service games. So to then go and pivot and start to move it into the service model, like I it hasn't fared well for other developers or franchises that have made this move. And I'll use the parallel of like the Tomb Raider games to, then the Marvel Avengers game, which is like
Mm.
a live service game that was made by a team that had historically made third party action adventure game or third person action adventure games. Like the pivot didn't seem to go very well. Same thing with Anthem. Like you take BioWare, who's a renowned RPG developer, and you try to make a live service shooter, didn't exactly go well either, right? Um, so I don't know. Like the jury's still out. I'm excited to see what, but it's gonna have to be really impressive for me to be like, okay, like this makes sense. Like don't make any more Assassin's Creed games. Let's just run it back every season with some new content and potentially a new map. But we'll see. Obviously, it's just the first day. We don't really know much more about it other than the announcement, but I'm sure we'll find out in the future. Also, be curious to see if the pro take the division going forward too, because it seems like that was what they intended when they announced that the division was gonna have a live service model. So we'll
Mm.
see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Okay, we got one last thing, and then we'll kind of roundup of stuff that we're looking forward to. It's new month, so we could talk about some stuff that's coming out this month, which is really exciting. But we had a Sony State of Play today. This won't take very long because it was a relatively short State of Play. I was I'll be honest, I was kind of surprised that I was as happy as I was, considering that it didn't have any first party games. It was supposed to be a heavy focus on Deathloop, which it did have toward the end. But some of the games that were announced looked pretty cool. Moss Book
Yeah.
Two. Moss was a great VR game.
Agreed. Yeah,
I
Moss
don't
is
know if you
awesome.
played it.
I did. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it
They
was
have
so
it on
good.
Oculus too. Yeah.
So kind of a surprise announcement there. Weird that they announced kind of like this flagship. I say flagship, but like a flagship PSVR title when we know PSVR 2 is it was on the horizon at some point. Um, so I wasn't really expecting that, but I might have to I might have to use my PSVR again at some point in the future if that game does come out before PSVR 2. But they led the show off with Moss Book 2, and then we got to see Tribes of Midgard a little bit, a game that I'm pretty excited about. That's coming out toward the end of the month. They talked about some of the content that's going to be coming to that game after the first season. That's out on July 27th. I've got that wish listed. I'm waiting to see what it reviews like before I dive into that and purchase it. And then they announced a couple of other games. I'll go through them really quickly here. Uh, Arcade Geddon was announced, and early access started today. It's an action game. It's a multiplayer shooter that can be played solo or four-player co-op. You can watch the trailer if you're interested.
Is
But
this what I'm watching right now?
I think this is Arcade Geddon. Hang on, let me check.
Dude, you know what it reminds me of already?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know. You know.
yep. Which is great. Which we also haven't played in forever, and we should fucking play. Actually, I played it today. I played a match right before we jumped on, and I kicked ass. It was great.
Arcade Geddon. Oh.
Yeah. So I might give that a shot. Might looks kind of fun.
Huh. It
We'll
does
see.
indeed. Yeah.
Tribes of Midgard. This game looks pretty cool. I don't know if you've seen anything about this, but it's a kind of a Diablo-esque.
Oh.
Yeah, we'll watch this really quickly together and see if you're interested in this at all.
Yo,
But
is
it
this
looks cool.
exclusive or is this on PC too?
I think it's on PC as well, and I think it's got crossplay, if I'm not mistaken.
Ooh, I have a buddy that would love this. Yeah, this looks dope.
Really, kind of cel shaded,
Yeah, yeah, I like that.
fast paced. Doesn't seem very slow. It just looks like a lot of fun. So I'm gonna look into this more because I thought for some reason that you had actually told me about this game, but I think I might be thinking of another game.
You're thinking of Valhalla
That's it, yeah,
or
Valhalla,
Valheim?
which
Sorry.
is Valheim. That's only for
Yeah,
PC right now, I believe, right?
yeah, I think it is coming up for consoles though.
Okay.
What's this one
So
called again?
yeah, Tribes of Midgard. It is coming out to PS4 and PS5 on July 27th, it looks like. I'm gonna
Yeah,
see if there is a PC version.
there is. Yeah, I got the Steam thing here.
And let's see if crossplay is a thing. Yep.
$25 too. Nice.
We'll support crossplay up to 10 players across PlayStation 5 and PC. So this might be something that we check out. I'm really excited for this game. Like I said, I got it wish listed. We'll see how it reviews. We'll see how kind of its first, but just visually, it looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
This was another game that was announced last week. For those of you not watching, or sorry, not last week. This was announced in 2020. It's called Fist Forged in Shadow Torch. Got a release date September 7th. It's a 2D Metroidvania starring a rabbit on the run from vicious machines. So we'll watch this trailer really quickly, but it looked pretty cool. I actually thought it was Biomutant for a second. I was like, oh, there's Biomutant DLC because there's a fucking rabbit wearing a giant fist.
Oh yeah, yeah. I
Um,
think I've seen this. I remember this rabbit with a fist. Have they
yeah, it
shown
looks
this
pretty
something?
cool.
It does look cool. Yeah.
It's coming out sooner than I expected. I didn't think we were gonna get a lot of release dates today, but we did for most games. So this will be out soon too.
Fist.
That I believe is PlayStation exclusive, if I'm not mistaken. And then this is the other game that got announced that was new. I believe this was just announced today. It's called Hunter's Arena Legends, which mixes
MOBA?
RPG, MOBA, and many other genres all together. I don't know how I feel about this. I don't really think I'm all that interested, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I feel like it's hard to
I'll,
break into this like team fight MOBA space with like a new IP.
yeah, I just don't like. I don't know why, unless it's fantastic. I don't know why I would jump into this and what I would get peeled away from, especially with it being a busier year in the next coming months. I don't think this got a date.
Did you see the text at the bottom here?
Captured on PS5 or something like that. Yeah,
Captured on
captured on PS5.
PS5 and in a PS5 engine on PC. What does that even mean?
I
Oh,
guess captured.
it's like a
I
mix
guess
of
it's
yeah.
a mix of, yeah. So I mean, it looks cool, but like we'll see. I guess I don't know.
If it's a MOBA and it's like third person like this, it could be pretty interesting. But make it look like a fighting game like that. Dude, it does look like a fighting
I
game.
guess it's free game, if I'm not mistaken. So that actually
Hmm.
may get me to try it.
Tekken style customization, eh?
Yeah, I think this is the game that's coming to PlayStation Plus next month. Yeah, this is the game that's coming to PlayStation Plus next month. So
Maybe
it's
I'll
kind of
get
like,
it.
we'll see. But yeah, it's coming August 3rd. So we'll see. I might check it out. It's a free game, so I typically try those out and then see how they go.
Cool.
Sifu got pushed to next year. This is the trailer that we're watching right now. It looks pretty cool. And then we got a gameplay look at Jet the Far Shore, the new Super Brothers game.
Ooh, nice.
You might want to watch that. That looked very fucking cool. This is it right now. Yeah, man, it looks pretty cool. It looks a little bit No Man's Sky
Hmm.
meets that Super Brothers style from like Sword and Sorcery and some of the other games that they've done. I thought this looked awesome. I can't wait for this game. It's coming out this year.
Yeah, super No Man's Sky looking, but like
Yeah, man.
with cool story.
A little bit more obscure, like a little bit more, obviously more story driven.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks really cool. Looks really simple. It looks clean. I think they said there's no combat in the game today as well.
Interesting. Yeah, it does look
Yeah,
very cool.
it looks very cool. So, I will definitely be checking this game out day one. And we'll see what that looks like. I'm a fan of the previous Super Brothers work, so pretty stoked to see this. We also saw Demon Slayer gameplay. I've actually started watching the series, so I'm curious what this game is going to be like because the anime is actually really good. I doubt that I'm going to buy this game because it just looks like if you're a fan of the anime, then this is made for you. Unless the game is, fundamentally amazing and will attract people that are not huge fans of the anime as well. I don't see myself getting into this, but the anime is really good. So we'll see how I feel after I've finished it, whether this game interests me or not. But this also got a date, October 5th. And then um, Lost Judgment. It's a sequel to the Yakuza spin-off Judgment, which you may have seen. It's been out for some time already. We got a release date for Death Stranding Director's Cut. That'll be out September 24th. And I'm actually going to look into what we talked about with Director's Cut because I think there's an upgrade path for this as well. Death Stranding Director's Cut upgrade. There is definitely an upgrade path. $10. Yeah, so for $10 you can upgrade if you have the disc version of Death Stranding, you can upgrade to the digital version for $10. It'll include new story missions, and all that kind of fun stuff, as well as some new features, I believe DualSense as well. So that's kind of the pricing model that I was hoping that Ghost of Tsushima would take on, but Death Stranding is a little bit older of a game, so maybe that factors into it as well. But they did show off some of the new features of Death Stranding. Definitely looks more appealing than it did previously. I never played the first one. I do own it, but I never played it. So I will probably be playing the PS5 version once it comes out in September. And then you are now showing us Deathloop. This got a pretty meaty gameplay deep dive. Um, you haven't had a chance to watch it yet, have you?
No, no, I didn't watch it.
Okay, so maybe we can skim through this really quickly because it does look really interesting. Um, it looks pretty cool. They explain kind of the mechanics of the game. It looks really pretty. A little bit choppy right now on the stream, but in the actual state of play, it looked awesome. It felt very weird to watch a PlayStation state of play end with a Microsoft owned studios game.
Yeah.
It's been a weird year for that shit. Dig steampunk look.
Did this
Not
team make
quite pure
Dishonored?
steampunk, but pretty close to it. Yep.
Yeah, okay. It
Looks
looks
like Dishonored meets Bioshock a little bit.
that gun looks dope.
It looks cartoony, and I know it's intended to, which is cool, but it's got like cartoony realism. Like it looks, I don't know, visually it looks really cool. I like the art style.
Dying isn't the end. Reprise is one of the powers you can unlock. It allows you to die and rewind twice before the loop restarts. You have also seen Carnesis that allows you to yank enemies around and shift the short-range teleport.
Yeah, so I'll let you watch this because there's just dead air right now.
Yeah.
Um, but it looked pretty cool. This game is out on September 14th, so September and August are going to be quite busy months for Sony. just to recap, Death Stranding, September 24th. This is out September 14th. Ghost of Tsushima update is out in August. Kenna Bridge of Spirits is out in August. Tribes of Midgard is coming out at the end of July. So it's going to be a busy few months, but some exciting stuff is definitely on the way.
Yeah, well, we got
And that's
Ascent coming and Skyward Sword too, both.
Yeah, I was gonna say really quickly, if you want to talk just July at a glance, that's pretty much all the news. So, hefty weeks.
Yeah.
You pick the worst week to actually take off because there's been so much news. Switch Pro finally got announced, State of Play, all this kind of fun stuff. But July is here, which means that there's new games on the way that we've been looking forward to. You are playing the
yeah.
Ascent trailer right now. I can't wait for this game. It looks so cool. This was the game that I was really looking forward to on my Series X when I first got it. Got pushed back, but it will be here this month. I'm pretty stoked. Are you also stoked?
Yeah, I'm getting more and more pumped for it. I keep seeing it in my Game Pass thing saying coming soon, and I'm like, oh, it's almost here. Like I'm excited to hop in. I love that it's like a co-op isometric Diablo-like game.
Yep.
Super stoked to try it out. Very excited.
Yeah, pretty excited. Hopefully we get to play this together because I think we had a lot of fun with Outriders, and that was kind of a holdover for games like this. But I know we want to play more co-op games and more stuff as a group.
Yeah.
So
Outriders
this would be pretty sweet to dive into.
Big changes too, so we still got to try to hop back in there.
I do want to beat that campaign, if for nothing else, just to like finish it and just be like, I beat it. I'd be happy.
Get my $80 worth.
Man, you paid full price for that game. For me, it's like disposable Game Pass. My value of that game is 0 because I was like, oh, once it's on fuck it, it's on Game Pass. I didn't pay for that game. I have no commitment to beating that game. Fuck it.
It's gonna be one of those things where I know in like a few months it'll be like, no, it's on PC Game Pass. I'll be like, you sons of bitches. It'll come eventually. It's just not now.
I can't wait for this. It looks so cool.
But yeah, that game looks great.
Yep. So that's out soon. Microsoft Flight Simulator is out this month. Skyward Sword is out.
Console version, right?
Console version, yeah. Skyward Sword HD is coming out alongside the Skyward Sword Joy-Cons. That's out next Friday, actually, so it's not that far away. I'm gonna do a quick rundown to see if there's anything else this month that's coming out. But I think those are the main ones, man. At least Ascent is the big one that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, that's right at the end of this month, right?
Yeah, that's gonna be 27th. The Little Devil Inside is slated to come out this month, but there's no specific date yet, I don't believe. I'm pretty curious about that game. There's a game called Eldest Souls coming out. I don't know if you know anything about that, but I assume if it has the word souls in it, that you know about it.
And Eldest. Trying to get both Elden Ring there. But no, I don't actually know about that game.
All right, well, you might want to check it out. All right, so here's the full lineup. You ready? These are the things that I'm excited for this month. Little Devil Inside, Skyward Sword, Ascent, Microsoft Flight Simulator. Where is it? I just saw it. Tribes of Midgard, which you just talked about. Death's Door is out this month. Neo, The World Ends With You. I can't believe I forgot that, man. That was one of my favorite games as a kid. World Ends With You, and it's getting a sequel finally, and it's going to be out this month. So I'm pretty stoked for that. That's pretty much everything slated for this month. There's another game called Omno that I saw today that looked pretty cool, so I might take a look at that. Plague Tale Innocence came out on PlayStation Plus, so I want to give that a shot. It's a PlayStation 5 game. Just got its update. And that's pretty much everything, man. I don't think there's any. Boomerang X came out yesterday, got some really good reviews, so I'm curious to check that out. That's probably a sale game, I'll be honest. I've got a lot on the go right now, so I don't really have the time to put into that. But
yeah, that was Mario Tennis or Mario Golf was one that I was looking forward to heavily, and I just kind of decided, like, you know what, I'm gonna skip it. And then I've heard very mediocre things about it, so I'm kind of glad I skipped it.
Yeah, I was never really excited about it.
Well, fuck you, dude.
I just want strikers, man. I'm sorry. I'm one of those that's like, just give me strikers and I'll be happy forever. And also this fucking Olympic game. I can't believe I'm still thinking about that. But I saw it, like I saw Canada smacking Cuba, and I'm like, I want revenge. This is fucking bullshit. There's no way Canada's gonna beat Cuba. All right, man. That's pretty much it. It was a longer is free. We didn't really do an or it's free segment because we didn't really know how long we were gonna run this week, but
Yeah, that's okay. We had to catch up on stuff like you said, so it worked out.
it was fucking busy. It was fucking busy.
What's fucking busy?
Hopefully we got Gaby back next week, so there's no more or it's free blank blank whoever free. And we can just get back to the three of us.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, man, it's exciting. It's summertime. Game Fest is on. Let's go.
Team Summer
Oh
Sales
god,
was
you
done.
just sent me a link.
Get your games.
You sent me a fucking link to Olympic Team Tokyo. God damn it, I don't want
That's
to
the
watch
review.
this. But...
That was the review that was on.
Did it review well?
No, I got a 5.
God damn it! I know I'm
From
gonna
Destructoid
fucking want
anyway.
this game though. I'm a sucker for these stupid licensed like summer tournament games. I bought
Which one? What'd you buy?
I bought like Euro 2020 or like Euro whatever. Remember when they used to have like FIFA and then they'd have like the Euro specific fucking
yeah.
games? I was a sucker for those and I bought every single one of them, even though they were way worse versions of FIFA. So fuck, man. I'm not buying this stupid game. All right.
Cool.
All right, dude. Or it's free. That's it. We're wrapped up. Check us out again. We'll be back hopefully next Thursday. Well, not hopefully. We'll be back next Thursday. Hopefully, all three of us. Check us out on social media at the Slice TO. You can check Devyn out. He's streaming pretty much. I don't know your schedule anymore, but you stream pretty often. I get emails a lot of the time.
I've
Sometimes
been
in the middle of the night.
less and less. Very much like I'm kind of slowing down, but I'm just doing the podcast. You might find me online, but just click that follow button so you get them notifications.
Do you have another podcast? Or are you talking about this one?
No, I'm talking about this one.
Okay, cool.
The one on Thursdays.
I was like, oh, I didn't know everyone knows the podcast. Okay, cool. But yeah, check us out at the Slice TO on all social media. This will be up on podcast services tomorrow morning, as well as on YouTube. So check us out on YouTube as well. The Slice TO, if you want to watch any of our archived shows from E3, that's up still from a couple weeks ago. And then yeah, we'll see you guys again next week. Thanks for joining live. If you didn't join live, that's okay. We'll see you next week.
Take it easy.